Welcome to another episode of my true crime podcast. Today, we'll take a closer look at one of the most controversial missing persons cases in recent years, the story of Carlee Russell. This 25-year-old nurse from Alabama disappeared in July 2023, and her case shocked not only the local community but also the entire world of social media. Was Carlee kidnapped, or was it all an elaborate hoax? Join me as we dive into this fascinating story. Part 1. What happened? On July 13, 2023, Carlee Russell, a 25-year-old nurse from Hoover, Alabama, was on her way home after work at a local spa. It was an ordinary evening until around 9:30 p.m. when Carlee called 911. In her call, she told the dispatcher that she had seen a small boy, wearing only a diaper, walking alone along Interstate I-459. This unusual report immediately raised alarm. Details of the 911 call. Carlee described the child as a 3 to 4-year-old boy dressed only in a diaper. According to her account, the boy seemed lost and in need of help. Carlee pulled over to the side of the highway to check if the child was safe. At that moment, the 911 call was disconnected and Carlee disappeared. Police response. Police arrived at the scene within minutes of the call. They found Carlee's car, a black Mercedes-Benz, with its doors open, the engine running, and her phone, wallet, and shoes left inside. However, neither Carlee nor the child she described were anywhere to be found. This marked the beginning of a 49-hour mystery that shook the local community and captured national attention. The search begins. Within hours of Carlee's disappearance, an intensive search was launched. Police, firefighters, and volunteers combed through nearby woods, roads, and the highway shoulder. Appeals for help spread across social media, and the case quickly went viral. Carlee's family organized their own search efforts, distributing flyers and asking the local community for support. First clues. As the search continued, troubling details began to emerge. Investigators discovered that before her disappearance, Carlee had been searching online for information about the age requirement for issuing an Amber Alert and how to pay for a hotel room without a credit card. These findings began to cast doubt on the authenticity of her story. Tension builds. As hours turned into days, the tension grew. Carlee's family held press conferences, pleading for help in finding her. Local media reported on every new detail, and the Birmingham community was determined to find answers. However, the more time passed, the more questions remained unanswered. Summary. Carlee Russell's disappearance was initially seen as a sudden and alarming case of abduction. However, within the first hours of the investigation, inconsistencies began to surface, hinting that this story might be more complicated than it first appeared. In the next parts of the podcast, we'll explore how this case unfolded and what secrets were revealed. Part 2. Carlee's return and the first doubts. After 49 hours of being missing, on July 15, 2023, Carlee Russell unexpectedly returned home. Her return brought both relief and a wave of new questions. Carlee shared her version of events with the police and her family, but her story quickly began to raise doubts. Let's take a closer look at what happened after her return. Carlee's return. Carlee arrived home late at night, around 10:45 p.m. She was physically and emotionally exhausted. According to her account, she had been abducted by a man with orange hair and a woman who forced her to fight for her life. She described being held in a dark place, possibly a trailer, and managing to escape when her captors fell asleep. Carlee's statement to the police. During her interrogation, Carlee provided detailed descriptions of her ordeal. She claimed that after stopping on the highway to help the child, she was attacked by a man who emerged from a nearby wooded area. She was then forced into a vehicle where she was held captive by two individuals. Her account was filled with dramatic details, but there was a lack of concrete evidence to support her story. The first doubts. Investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies in her narrative. For example, no child found. The child Carlee claimed to have seen on the highway was never found. Surveillance cameras in the area also failed to capture any footage of a child. Internet activity. before her disappearance, Carlee had been searching online for information about the age requirement for issuing an Amber Alert and how to pay for a hotel room without a credit card. These searches raised suspicions that her disappearance might have been staged. Lack of physical evidence. No signs of a struggle or other evidence supporting her kidnapping story were found. Reactions from family and the community. Carlee's family initially stood by her, believing her story. However, as new information emerged, their stance began to shift. The local community, which had initially been full of sympathy, started to question the authenticity of her account. On social media, comments criticizing Carlee for potentially wasting police resources began to surface. The investigation begins. The police launched a thorough investigation, analyzing every detail of her story. They interviewed her acquaintances, reviewed her social media activity, and examined her financial records. It soon became apparent that Carlee might have had a motive to fabricate the entire story, though her exact reasons remained unclear. Summary: Carlee Russell's return was initially a cause for relief, but it quickly became a source of controversy. Her dramatic account of being kidnapped lacked supporting evidence, and inconsistencies in her story began to emerge. In the next parts of the podcast, we'll explore how the investigation unfolded and what consequences this case had for Carlee and those around her. Part 3: The Truth Revealed. After Carlee Russell's return and her controversial account of being kidnapped, the investigation gained momentum. Police and media began meticulously analyzing every detail of her story, and soon evidence emerged that undermined the credibility of her account. Ultimately, Carlee admitted to fabricating the entire story, sparking widespread shock and discussions about her motives. The investigation intensifies. The Hoover, Alabama police launched an intensive investigation to verify Carlee's account. They analyzed her phone, computers, and social media activity. Investigators discovered that before her disappearance, Carlee had been searching online for information about Amber Alerts. She inquired about the age requirement for issuing an Amber Alert. Hotel payments. She looked up how to book a hotel room without a credit card. Kidnapping stories. She browsed movies and articles about kidnappings, suggesting she may have drawn inspiration from them to create her story. Lack of evidence for kidnapping. Investigators found no physical evidence to support Carlee's account. Surveillance cameras near Interstate I-459 did not capture any footage of a child or suspicious individuals. Additionally, there were no signs of a struggle or other indicators that a kidnapping had occurred. These gaps began to cast serious doubt on her story. Carlee's confession. On July 24, 2023, Carlee Russell, through her attorney, released a statement admitting to fabricating the entire story. In her statement, she wrote, "I was not kidnapped. I did not see a child on the highway. No crime occurred. My actions were a mistake, and I sincerely apologize." Her confession shocked and disappointed those who had initially believed her. Carlee's motives. While Carlee did not reveal the exact reasons for her actions, it is speculated that she may have been seeking attention or trying to resolve personal issues. Some suggested it could have been an attempt to regain the interest of her partner or family. However, her true motives remain unclear. Legal consequences. Carlee Russell faced charges of filing a false police report and wasting law enforcement resources. In March 2024, she was sentenced to an $18,000 fine to cover the costs of the search efforts, 1 year of probation on the condition that she does not commit further offenses, 400 hours of community service as a form of restitution for misleading the public. Community reactions. The case of Carlee Russell elicited mixed reactions. On one hand, many people expressed disappointment and anger that police and community resources had been wasted on a false story. On the other hand, some expressed sympathy for Carlee, suggesting she may have been acting under emotional distress or pressure. Reflections on the case. Carlee Russell's story serves as a reminder of how easily public emotions can be manipulated in the age of social media. It also highlights the importance of critical thinking when consuming information and how quickly false stories can capture global attention. At the same time, the case underscores the need for greater attention and resources for real missing persons cases, which often remain in the shadows. Summary: the revelation of the truth about Carlee Russell's disappearance was a shocking twist in this story. Her admission to fabricating the entire ordeal sparked widespread controversy and discussions about her motives. In the next parts of the podcast, we'll explore how this case impacted the local community and what lessons we can learn from it. Part 4: Community Reactions and Consequences. The case of Carlee Russell sparked a storm not only in the media but also among the local community and the general public. Her admission to fabricating the kidnapping story had far-reaching consequences, both for her and for those who had been involved in the search efforts. Let's take a closer look at how different groups reacted to this controversial case. Reactions from the local community. Residents of Hoover, Alabama, who had initially come together to help search for Carlee, felt betrayed. Many of them had dedicated their time and energy to combing the area, distributing flyers, and organizing support efforts. When the truth came out, their reactions were mixed. Disappointment. Many residents expressed disappointment that their good intentions had been exploited. Anger. Some were outraged that police and fire department resources had been wasted on a false story. Sympathy. Others expressed sympathy for Carlee, suggesting she may have been acting under emotional distress. Reactions on social media. The Carlee Russell case went viral on social media, sparking heated discussions. Hashtags like #CarleeRussell and #HooverHoax trended on platforms such as Twitter and TikTok. Reactions were divided. Criticism. Many users criticized Carlee for manipulating emotions and wasting resources. Memes. Some created memes and jokes about her story which received mixed reactions. Debate. Others discussed the broader implications of the case, such as mental health issues or societal pressure. Reactions from Carlee's family. Carlee's family initially stood by her, believing her kidnapping story. However, after the truth was revealed, their stance shifted. In a statement, the family apologized for Carlee's actions and thanked the community for their support. They also expressed hope that Carlee would receive the help she needed to address the issues that led to this situation. Consequences for Carlee. Carlee Russell faced legal consequences for her actions. She was sentenced to an $18,000 fine to cover the costs of the search efforts, 1 year of probation on the condition that she does not commit further offenses, 400 hours of community service as a form of restitution for misleading the public. Additionally, Carlee was forced to issue a public apology for her actions, which received mixed reactions. Impact on other missing persons cases. The Carlee Russell case also had an impact on how other missing persons cases were perceived. Some worried that her hoax could undermine the credibility of future kidnapping reports. Organizations dedicated to missing persons emphasized that such cases are rare and should not affect society's response to real threats. Reflections on the case. Carlee Russell's story serves as a reminder of the importance of critical thinking, especially in the age of social media. It also highlights how easily public emotions can be manipulated and how quickly false stories can capture global attention. At the same time, the case underscores the need for greater attention and resources for real victims of disappearances, whose stories often remain in the shadows. Summary. The community's reaction to the Carlee Russell case was intense and varied. From disappointment and anger to sympathy and debate, this story evoked a wide range of emotions. In the next parts of the podcast, we'll explore the lessons we can learn from this case and how it has influenced the perception of similar incidents in the future. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a comment and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more fascinating tales. Until next time.